Well, we're back. Been a while, I know. Haven't had much to talk about or do because Camaro's, there and done almost. But as we see today, we are working on the Cutlass because daughter decided that it was going to be too much work for her to start driving it, but too much work that she doesn't want to put into it, which is fine. She put in an effort to do what she could to get it done. So we're gonna go find her something that she wants. So now my first car has basically come back to me, and we're gonna go get it running. Now, we did have it running a little bit ago, but now we have the carburetor off because I need to readjust the float. This, as we can tell, needs to be, I adjusted it a little bit when we first rebuilt the carburetor, but while we were running it, getting it started, fuel was coming out here and flooding all over the place. I mean, everywhere. I wonder if there's still residue down there. No, there was fuel everywhere. I mean, there's some down there in the intake, but whatever. I mean, there was fuel everywhere. But I came out here to check and figure, came out after I had run it for a second or two and looked, and it was fuel everywhere. My wife started and then saw fuel was spewing out of this spot right here and just going everywhere. So it led me to start tearing it down and figuring out that this needs to be repositioned. I probably need to bend it down so it doesn't fill up the bowls fill up the bowl, because when I took this out of here, it sits right in there. Well, not exactly like that. Lifts up, shuts off the fuel supply to the bowls until it needs more. But this little piece sits right down in there and is kind of just hooked on the end of this right here. Well, when I took the top half of the carburetor off, this little piece here that's supposed to be kind of dangling like a Christmas ornament was sitting wedged in here. So it wasn't cutting off the fuel supply when the bowl got full of fuel. So right now we're going to fix that and then put it back together. I thought we needed a new starter. I did order the wrong starter. I'm going to return it, found the receipt. But after charging the battery up for a good part of the day today, it's got a pretty healthy crank to it. So I'm going to hold off a little bit on the starter, but I'm going to get this put together again real quick, and then we'll try to get it started again. Well, I didn't realize it until late last night, that I didn't have a video ending the Cutlass here. We got it all back together. I do have clips of it running and starting under its own power. I did come out here this morning, and to my surprise, it actually starts again in the morning. Of course, that thing idles way high. Come on, Gizmo. Now we have to slam the door for all it's worth. There we go. I have new door seals and hinge pins because everything's off of alignment. But as we see, the car starts under its own now after we rebuilt the carburetor. After we got yesterday, after we got the bowl situation, the float situation fixed, and also the choke does its job that it's supposed to do, and the battery's holding a charge, starts right up. Now time to, well, when it is not 30 some degrees outside and the wind isn't blowing, making it feel like it's even colder, get under there, change the transmission fluid, the engine oil. The transmission fluid needs to be changed simply because it leaked out, like I said before, below the pan filter, below the gasket, so there's no fluid getting into the transmission to shift it into gear. So hopefully we get that filter, the gasket, get the fluid back up so that this thing will run under its own power, move under its own power once the fluid gets in the transmission. Drain the engine oil at the same time, put in the new dipstick that we bought, that's bought for it, fill it with new transmission and engine oil, run it back up, make sure the cooling system has at least something in it so that while it's running and I'm tuning the carburetor, it's not going to overheat. There's a lot more work to be done on this car, but to me, the major step of getting it started, whenever I want to come out here and just crank the engine, is done. Thinking that I needed a new starter, well, it was on the right track. It was kind of a weak crank, but I guess the battery was from sitting for so long and it died. It just needed to be charged for longer than it needed, I thought. Then what I'll also do is I'll go ahead and check and put and just pop the cap off and make sure the fluids are up. Add some, distilled water to it if it needs it or not, just to be on the safe side. So that is that. We got the Cutlass now running when we want to. Fluids will be next in a couple days, maybe later on today. It'll be warm enough to do at least something. It would be nice, but it is the time of year. It is cold to be working on this stuff outside. I don't care who you are. I have this hoodie on with everything, and this wind blows. I am cold. So we'll see what happens in a couple hours. It may not be until tomorrow. I do some more work on it. But if it gets warmed up a little bit later, I may just go ahead and clean up the engine bay. As in, I don't know if we can see in there. Let's look up its nose there. But, maybe. I don't know if you guys can see it. But the distributor wires, I'll probably go ahead and clean those up and reorganize them. And so that they are not all over the place. But until then, if you like this video, let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you didn't like it, let me know what you think I could do better. And until then, I'll see you in the next one.